Welcome back. With me right now is David Harrington. You might know the name because he's the current mayor of Aliso Viejo. However, he is here because he is running for the Orange County Sheriff and retired from there about 4 years ago, and City Council of Aliso Viejo. So a lot of experience. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Let's go first about your background. Your obviously your law enforcement background. That's probably the main topic, right?
So I started the Sheriff's Department in 1985. I worked 2 years, 1 month, 13 days in the jail, Central Men's Jail. I went to patrol for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
I went to investigations. I worked economic crimes, fugitive warrants, sex crimes, and property crimes. I've arrested hundreds of people, and it's a great job. It's an amazing satisfaction level job. It's really amazing. I promoted to sergeant and did about another 1.5 years in custody as a sergeant, and then I went to patrol again. Worked North Patrol, South Patrol, investigations, pretty much did it all. I was awarded the Medal of Merit in 2012 for innovations at the department.
Oh, very good.
Most of it surrounded modernizing equipment at the department, and I created a training program called the Core Functions of Patrol Training that made every day a training day at the department. I tried to get it department-wide. It's a tough sell sometimes to change things, but we tried. So I was awarded that medal in 2012. Worked on the transition for Yorba Linda Police Services.
Mm-hmm.
They switched, Yorba Linda switched from Brea to the sheriff. I worked on that transition and retired out of Yorba Linda as the administrative investigative sergeant. Took a month off and ran for city council after that, and now I'm the mayor.
All right, so let's get into some of the issues, and one of them, let's talk about what some people may not know as Proposition 47. There's SB 54. There's all these different laws that have been enacted that a lot of studies have shown has really churned people, turned some of maybe the lower level criminals, but back onto the streets quickly. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they can go in and steal something, and if it's under $1,000
$950.
Yeah, $950
yeah,
is a misdemeanor. It's created all kinds of problems. What's your take on that, and how would you kind of counteract that?
Yeah, so
being it's a state law, at least at this
Sure,
point.
so there's a whole slew of, so I'm going to touch a little bit on the background of all those laws. So
yeah,
you have
please.
AB 109 is the first one. It's Assembly Bill 109. It's called prison realignment. So prison realignment, what that is, it pushed a bunch of convicted felons out of the state prison into county jails throughout the state.
Right.
Okay, but it also created two different classes of inmates, supervised and unsupervised release. So many inmates became unsupervised when they got released. And then you also have problems with what's called flash incarceration. So when they violate their terms of release, instead of going back to prison to complete their original sentence, they just go into the county jail for a few days and they get back out again.
Okay.
So that's like the first hit. Okay, and that makes us less safe when you do that. When you let criminals out of jail that don't belong out of jail, you make us less safe. Prop 47 was really bad. The Safe Neighborhoods and Safe Schools Act. It did neither of those things. It had nothing to do with either of those things. What that did was it decriminalized a bunch of criminal activity. And what I mean by that was you took felonies made of misdemeanors, and then it did that retroactively. So what happened was people who were in custody for felonies were now in custody for misdemeanors. So they were able to petition and get released from prison instead of being in prison where they belong. So then 57 comes along, the Let a Violent Felon Out of Prison Early Act. Because in the penal code, there's violent felonies are listed, are defined in the penal code.
Right.
57 changed that because if it's not in the penal code defined as a violent felon, then you're eligible for early release. So unlawful sexual intercourse with an unconscious person is not considered a violent felony. Assault on a peace officer with injury is not considered under the penal code as a violent felony. So those people become eligible. And now a judge just recently decided that 10,000 sex offenders would be eligible for early release. And Governor Brown said, no, I promised everybody. And the judge said, well, too bad. The law says what the law says.
Yeah.
So these things get passed. SB 54 is the sanctuary state law. These things make us less safe. When you're letting criminals out of jail who should not be let out of jail. You make us less safe. I don't just live in Aliso Viejo. Okay, most people don't just live in the city they live in. They live in the county,
right,
the state, and the country. I travel all over. So when you let criminals out of jail, you're making us less safe.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to remember. So, so all of these things. So here's what I would do. First of all, you have to fight these policies before they get passed. If
right,
you're waiting till after the
yeah,
fact,
and that's the
which
hard
is what's
thing,
happened,
these are, yeah,
which is what's happened is that we waited too long, and now every time someone tries to fix it, Pat Bates has really carried the water for us in Sacramento, but she can't even get her bills heard in committee. You have to fight these things beforehand. You have to engage the public, and you have to really get people involved, and you have to educate them so that they don't vote for these things. Remember, 47 and 57 passed.
That's right.
In Orange County with over 56% of the vote.
Yeah.
So that's a problem. That's a problem because no one's educating the public, and that's law enforcement's job. When you have a big bully pulpit like the sheriff's office, your responsibility really to the people is to at least educate them. Do what you can, everything you can, and that wasn't happening. You know, I started a PAC to fight Prop 57. It wasn't successful because my microphone was pretty small. I talked to many civic groups, and it just wasn't. It wasn't enough. We needed
right,
more help.
And one of the cause and effects of this that has been looked at because of some of these policies is the increase in homeless, because a lot of these low-level criminals, high-level, whatever you want to call them, are put back on the streets. Some have mental health. There's nowhere for them to go. And we have seen what happens with the increase of the homeless and those halfway houses and those sort of things.
So there's a lot of issues involved with the homelessness. Government inaction really caused that problem. They allowed it to fester. When you just allow people to camp wherever they want to, and you don't enforce the law. Look, this has been festering for a long time. It didn't just happen last night. This crisis has taken time. 7 years ago, when I worked at the Sheriff's Department, I was a bike sergeant, and we worked on that riverbed, and we had a plan to clean it out when there was only 4 people under every overpass.
Yeah.
And this administration told us, no, we couldn't do it. Okay, fine, then what are you going to do?
Yeah.
So the law needed to be enforced. We needed to be out there, cleaning it up back then. Yes, the sober living homes is also another issue that really led to a lot of the problems on the riverbed because people were being curbed. They come in, they get brokered into a sober living home, insurance runs out, they get kicked to the curb, they become homeless, they go back into the cycle of drug use, and that adds to our problem. That's a problem. 47, 57, these laws, AB 109, it did add to the problem, but here's the deal, you can't hide behind that stuff. You've got to enforce the law. It's still illegal to possess heroin. It's still illegal. I get it, maybe I can't take you to jail, but I can write you a ticket. You know who doesn't go to court? Drug users generally don't go to court. You know what their tickets become? Warrants.
Right.
They'll go to jail then.
Yeah.
So the excuse sometimes you'll hear is that we couldn't do anything. That's not what a street cop should be doing.
Right.
We've got things to do, and you do what you can do.
Yeah.
And we allowed it, and it was allowed to fester. And we should have taken a much more proactive approach, because had we done it at the beginning, when all of these other people are getting released, we can at least deal with the population as it increases in small doses. But now we're dealing with them, there's 1,000 people that we're trying to deal with.
Yeah. Let's talk about another issue that you're in a unique position, being you are the mayor of Aliso Viejo. We're talking about the rising costs.
Yes.
A lot of cities right now, including this one, they're seeing their costs skyrocketing for the sheriff's contracting with the sheriff's department. Most of South Orange County is contracted with the Sheriff's Department. Again, you're in a unique position. You have seen both sides. You have worked with both sides. What's your take? We got about 2 minutes left. So
okay,
if you want to give
so I'll try to be quick.
Yeah.
So my take is it's a failed relationship between the Sheriff's Department leadership and the contract cities. The 13 cities have banded together and are spending $300,000 on a study to find out where all these costs are coming from and what other options are. Well, that's unnecessary. What we need to do is we need to look at different modeling on how we do our services, our police services. What I think we should do is we should be sharing administrative functions with other cities. Laguna Hills, Laguna Woods, or Laguna Village, and Aliso Viejo are about the same size as Mission Viejo. So we have 2 1/3 lieutenants, 2 1/3 admin sergeants, however they work it out in the contract. Mission Viejo has one lieutenant, one admin sergeant. So why can't we do the same here? We would save hundreds of thousands of dollars. It would really bring our costs down. Because when you look at the contract, you don't look at the left column, you look at the right column. The left column is salary and benefits. The right column is what it costs after all of the overhead is added. That column, if we were to do that, you would save, between the three cities, we would share savings of about $700,000.
Would they be as safe?
Certainly, because our safety doesn't our safety doesn't come from the bureaucrats in the office. Our safety comes from the men and women who put that uniform on and drive the patrol cars every day. That's where our safety comes from.
Okay, so you're looking at more of the administration.
Absolutely,
costs.
Yeah. The bureaucracy needs to be reduced. We'll bring the cost down, and we'll be able to put even more boots on the ground as we save that kind of money. And that's what we need. That's who keeps us safe. All
right, very good. We're out of time.
Awesome, thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And if you want to find out more about David, harringtonforsheriff.com. If you forget that, just Google David Harrington. Put sheriff after that, because I Googled your name, a lot of David Harringtons throughout the country. So make sure David Harrington, then put OC Sheriff, and then you'll find the link there. That's the easiest way. Nice to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you.
We'll see you again.
Thank you.
We'll be back. Good to meet you.